Hello everyone, thank you for your time given to me. I am Suri Gracia Ratuhanrasa. I appreciate your interest in important and often overlooked aspect of Australian history, the stolen generation of Indigenous Australians. Today, I will be discussing the historical context, the reasons behind the policies that led to the removal of Indigenous children from their families, the impact on communities, and the ongoing efforts towards reconciliations. So I will show you a video about understanding what the stolen generation are.
Indigenous Australians are the oldest continuous civilization in the world. Their rich culture stretches back tens of thousands of years. But many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children were stripped of their culture by a government policy that removed them from their families and placed them into white foster care. They are known as the Stolen Generations. In 2008, the Prime Minister offered a formal apology for what he called a blemished chapter in the nation's history.
For the pain, suffering and hurt of these stolen generations, their descendants and for their families left behind, we say sorry. To the mothers and the fathers, the brothers and the sisters, for the breaking up of families and communities, we say sorry. And for the indignity and degradation thus inflicted on a proud people and a proud culture, we say sorry.
The apology was hailed as a key step on the path to reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians. In the same year, an ambitious set of targets was established to close the gap in disadvantage between the two groups. They cover areas including education, employment and health. The government's own report card this year admits it is not on track to reduce the gap in life expectancy. It is not on track to improve school attendance among Indigenous students. And it won't achieve goals for reading and maths or employment rates among Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders.
I can advise the House that 3 of the 7 closing the gap targets are on track this year, giving us the most promising result since 2011. The solution to closing the gap rests within the imagination, the ingenuity, the passion and the drive of Indigenous people themselves. Government must be the enabler of this success.
It's now a decade since the national apology and the ambitious plan to improve Indigenous lives was launched. Is it time for a new approach to achieve real equality for Australia's First Peoples? Natalie Pohanen, The Newsmakers.
Okay everyone, after you watching the video, maybe you already know what is the stolen generation. The stolen generation refers to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children who were forcibly removed from their families by Australian government policies from the late 19th century until 1970s. These policies aim to assimilate Indigenous children into white Australian society, believed that they would have better opportunities and more civilized upbringing. The stolen generation is a term used to describe the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children who were taken from their families as part of a government policy aimed at assimilation. And the next one is reason for the policy. Motivation behind the removal is the government believed that Indigenous culture was inferior and that assimilation into white society was necessary for their children's welfare. Policies were based on the belief that indigenous people were dying out and that their children should be raised in a European culture to ensure their survival and success. The rationale behind this policies was rooted in a belief that indigenous culture was inferior and that by removing children, they would have a better chance at life in European society. And the historical context is like timeline of the stolen generation. The removal of indigenous children began in the late 18th and continued until the 1970s. Various laws were enacted across Australian states and territories, leading to the systematic removal of thousands of children from their families. The practice of removing indigenous children started in the late 19th century and continued for nearly a century, resulting in a significant loss of culture and family ties. We can discuss about impact on families and communities. Because from these consequences of the policy, the removal caused deep emotional and psychological trauma for families and communities. Families were torn apart, leading to a loss of culture, identity, and a sense of belonging among the children who were taken. So the impact of this is the policy was devastating, resulting in broken families and a profound loss of cultural identity for many indigenous Australians. The apology is formal in 2008. In this year, the Australian Prime Minister issued a formal apology to the stolen generation. The apology acknowledged the pain and suffering caused by this policy and was seen as a crucial step towards reconciliation. In 2008, a formal apology was made by the Prime Minister, recognizing this hard inflicted on the stolen generation and marking a significant moment in the journey towards reconciliation. So we must know in that era like that, guys. In the next one, we can discuss about closing the gap initiative. Government initiatives like following the apology, the government set targets to close the gap in disadvantage between indigenous and non-indigenous Australians. This target focused on improving education, health, and employment outcomes for indigenous peoples. After the apology, the government launched initiative aimed at closing the gap in education, health, and employment, but the progress has been slow. And after that, we can discuss about current status and future directions. The need for new approaches. Despite some progress, many targets are not on track, indicating the need for new struggles and strategies. From the video suggests that the solution lies in empowering indigenous peoples and allowing them to lead the way in their own development. While some progress has been made, many targets are still not being met, highlighting the need for new approaches that empower indigenous communities. So guys, after we discuss about this, I have some conclusion to share with you about this topic is importance of acknowledgement and action in the cases. Recognizing the history and impact of the stolen generation is crucial for reconciliation. Acknowledgement of past injustice is essential for healing and moving forward towards equality. Understanding the history of the stolen generation is vital for reconciliation and for ensuring that Indigenous Australians can achieve true equality and society. So guys, I think that's all. I hope you can understand and give me more feedback and what do you don't know about your opinion. Maybe you can share everything if you want. I think that's all. Thank you for your attention. Bye bye.